This is Dolany TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers Discussion, the first edition of Edmonton Oilers Discussion for this entire Friday, Saturday, Sunday stretch without Edmonton Oilers hockey on our television sets until Monday, when we face the Winnipeg Jets, going for 4 straight wins. I know I've said that recently, last Saturday against the Calgary Flames. However, you know what? Fortunes turn again. 2 more games against Ottawa, a big game against Montreal, and away we go. But again, you know what? Evolution within the Oilers over the past 7 games, specifically the past 3 games, where all of a sudden the Oilers are like the best scoring team by defensemen. The Oilers are just out there destroying the NHL with their defensemen in terms of goal scoring. And you can go back on Dolany TV. I have done 1, 2, 3, I think even 4 videos in the past 2.5 years dedicated solely to the fact that the Oilers, if they could get scoring out of their defensemen, would be a much better team and would win many more games. And now all of a sudden, 6 out of the past 7 games, you see that taking effect, evolutionizing the way the Oilers play, as I create words here. And, well, guess what? Bing, bang, boom. You've got offense from the defensemen, and you've got 6 wins out of 7 games. I don't care. I frankly do not care if 4 of them come against Ottawa. What, you'd prefer to lose those? If you'd prefer to lose those, put your hand up because you're a moron, okay? If you'd prefer to lose the games against Ottawa just so as nobody's sitting here happy that we won against Ottawa, you got it backwards. Take a seat and don't put your hand up for the next little while, all right? Because you're clearly confused. I don't mean to go throw out insults here, but if you're in the boat that you'd rather have lost to Ottawa just to prove a point that the Oilers suck, you're clearly missing what being a fan is all about. But that aside, if you're also still hating on Darnell Nurse and Tyson Barrie, you're missing the point. Okay, this has become the Oilers' number 1 defense pair. Obviously, yes, any pair that includes Nurse, like it or hate it, is your number 1 defense pair this season. That's the reality with Oscar Klefbom out. Am I still 100% set on having Darnell Nurse as our number 1 D-man? No, 100% not, because there's still the possibility Oscar Klefbom comes back. But you look at what Darnell Nurse is doing. You look at what Tyson Barrie is shaping up into in the past little bit here, and suddenly it is all coming together exactly how I imagine Ken Holland didn't plan it in the offseason for the Oilers. So you sit here, and I'm going to give you some statistics here. We've already kind of looked at this once this season when it comes to Darnell Nurse, but these are his possession metrics, okay? These are the metrics that tell you what he's doing at even strength. Corsi 4, 52%, the highest of his career in the NHL since those 2-game stint back in 2014-15. You also have the Fenwick 4, which is at the highest rate since that 14-15 2-game stint. You have every metric on here just looking fantastic. By the way, we'll get to the time on ice and stuff statistics here, but Darnell Nurse playing a minute 20 or a minute 10 less than he was last year per game, now at 24 minutes and 37 seconds per game, I do believe. Let me double check that. Bam, 24-37 as opposed to 23-27 last year. He is going out there and averaging just over a goal against per game. 17 goals against per game at even strength as opposed to 16. So let's just casually look at that. A $1.07, call it. It's a $1.0625, but a $1.07, call that for goals against per game at even strength. Darnell Nurse last season in that column, well, he played 71 games and had 77, a $1.085, call it. So at least 0.15 goals against more at even strength than last year. But why? That, right? He shouldn't be giving up a goal a game. That's terrible. That's absolutely awful. Well, let's just quickly go to Oscar Klefbom here, who everybody says is just the end-all, be-all of the Oilers' defense, and we're so doomed without him. And look at that 19-20 season where he was giving up exactly a goal against per game. So Realistically, is there that much of a difference? Do you know how many games it takes to get that extra goal that Darnell Nurse is costing the Oilers this season? 0.625. All right, you want to do some math? How about, well, times, let's go divided by 1. That's what I'm trying to do. 0.625. It takes 16 games. 16 games for Darnell Nurse to give up that full extra goal per game that he's given up now, right? Realistically, right? That's when you'd actually have 2 goals given up. In 32 games, you'd have 34 goals against. Sorry, Darnell Nurse doing the same thing Oscar Klefbom is doing, except if not better, when you consider for Darnell Nurse what he's doing here in Oilers' goal-scoring history. Like, I think the 84-85 season was referenced last night. Oh, yeah, when Darnell Nurse scored his 6th goal of the year, and that hasn't been done by an Oilers defenseman in 16 games since, I don't know who, Paul Coffey? Oh, those 80s teams were so fun to watch. And here we have a guy doing it for the first time since those 80s teams, and everybody's still sitting here saying this guy is an absolute pylon. Well, I'm sorry, give your head a shake. He's not. Now, we get over to Tyson Barrie, who's starting to take effect on the power play as we dreamt it up, right? He's got 2 power play goals, and 4 power play assists. So 6, half his points so far are on the power play. That's what we want. And he's got a total of 2 goals on the power play out of his 3. He's got 3 goals as well. And suddenly you've got yourself an elite offensive tandem that it does not appear to me that the Oilers have had in decades. Okay, that's what we're looking at here, is this Oilers team finally has a top pair of offensive defensemen that we have not seen playing at an elite level like this in a long time. Guess what? You want that Darnell Nurse fast fact. You didn't hear Chris Pronger in there in that 6 goals in 16 games. Everybody talks about the Oilers haven't had a number 1 D-man since Pronger, but I'm sorry, even Chris Pronger didn't do what Darnell Nurse did offensively last night in his 1 year with the Oilers. He didn't do it. You can't tell me he did, because he didn't. That's just facts, and you can't argue facts. If you want to argue with your feelings, guess what? I know I hurt feelings sometimes, and do I really care? No, because you know what? We're based in reality. We're based in fact here if we're going to argue against each other. And when the facts say Darnell Nurse is having a season unlike any other defenseman since Paul Coffey, yeah, you know what? There is fair share to be calling him an elite defenseman for the Oilers at this point. I'm not saying he's going to be elite the rest of his career. I'm not saying he was elite. But the fact is, at this point, Darnell Nurse is doing some unprecedented things, and it's okay. It's okay, my friends, to celebrate that. All right? You know what? Let yourself be happy. If you're miserable this Friday evening, here's some guy on the internet telling you, let yourself be happy. Warm up a cup of hot chocolate. You know what you're probably putting in it if you're in my age range. And you know what? Enjoy a night watching a movie on the couch or watching another hockey game that doesn't affect you personally, and just go out there and let yourself be happy tonight. The Oilers are turning the corner here. We've got pieces happening. Now, I talk about Tyson Barrie and Darnell Nurse, right? All the offense. But to wrap this video up beautifully, just as they wrap up most games in the past 3 to 4, 5, 6 games, has been the fact that they are reliable defensively. They can get the job done defensively as a top pair. I'm not saying at an elite level. I'm not talking the defense is elite. All right, yeah, I did argue about the Darnell Nurse, better pace than last year, goals against, and really no different goals against pace than Oscar Klefbom. You want to talk about micro fractions, go right ahead with me. It's going to be a moot point. But, right, this top pair, as per what the consensus would be for how much they're costing you, is not costing you at all defensively 5-on-5. Yeah, say what you want about the power play and stuff, but there's 4 guys on the penalty kill that you have to go out there and work with. You can't just blame one guy all the time. End of case, and you want to blame the goaltender. Everybody's already doing that, so what the heck, right? The Oilers have no goaltending, the Oilers have no defense, and the Oilers can't penalty kill. So why are you blaming a guy for what he's doing penalty kill-wise? Don't know. Don't get it. Don't know why. but you get where I'm going. Is this pair is an elite offensive defensive pair that we have not had in decades, and suddenly, you know what? There's reason to be happy about the Oilers' blue line at long last. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tyson. Don't forget Evan Bouchard. This is Dolany TV. I'm up on out of here.